Welcome to Module 10, where you will learn how to use your gels in nail art. In this module, you will gain understanding of what gel is best suited for nail art techniques. Color gels, used for all color art, especially lines and French tip. They're highly pigmented, dry without any tacky residue, and hardly any shrinkage. Their excellent pigment saturation is great for French lines and holographic powder. And I will demo for you French lines and holo powder nail art samples. Let's begin with the classic French tip. Now, for the French tip, you get to choose whatever base color you like. You can match this to your client's skin tone, or if you just have a standard, very neutral base tone, undertone that you use, then by all means, go ahead and use that. Here I have a peachy with a very light shimmer, and I have my whitest white, which is number 2 here in the Leaf Gel Premium brand. Again, this is non-brand specific. Use any white, any peachy color, any undertone that you like. So I'm going to apply my white with a French brush, and that's usually the Japanese gel nail way to do it. A French brush has an angle cut like so, and you use it to swipe your smile line in. Afterwards, you can do tiny little bit of adjustments to it, but usually you let the brush do all of the work for you. Now you'll want to have a palette like this ready, or maybe a piece of foil that you can saturate, warm up your brush, or start placing product into the brush for workability purposes. You want this brush to be really, really flexible. If your brush has been sitting in your drawer, or it's been, stored for some while and it's not very flexible, then please, please, please take some alcohol and some clear gel or this white color gel and start making it flexible. Start breaking it in. And you will want to work in your white into the product. Okay, so once you warmed up your brush, now you want to start working the white into that brush. All right. And before you apply your white, I will have you to know that when you're doing a French tip nail art, you want to work with very little product on the brush. Okay, start with the center. Find the center of your nail. This is going to help you, right? It's going to help you as a guide, so that when you swipe your French smile line, you know how low you're going to come down to. All right, so somewhere in the center, when you're doing your French smile, you would want to start at a high point on the side, okay? This is going to elongate the nail and create like the impression of a longer nail bed. So this simply takes a lot of confidence, a lot of practice. It'll come. The first few swipes obviously may not be perfect, but just stick at it. Stay with it and it'll come to you. All right, so make a second indentation to see if it is aligned with the other side wall, and then swipe it. If it's not perfect yet, do not worry. This is gel. Remember, it's not ready until you say it's ready. And you notice that because there is no tacky layer on my color, my white stays put. It's not flaring, it's not blurring, it's not getting away from me. So I'm going to come back and adjust it wherever I need to before I give it a full cure. Oftentimes you have to work on your wings, right? Those high points on the side walls there. You want to bring them up. And quite frankly, French is that one thing you get kind of caught up and you get perfect. You want to be perfect at, and you keep messing with it. But my recommendation is to just swipe on all of your clients' fingernails, maybe on the first hand, and then look at it and then adjust it. Because you can always turn your brush like so and just taper and retouch the smile line. It doesn't have to be this long labyrinth, process of you trying to get things right. But when you do get them right and you're happy with them, then just make sure you give that coat a full cure. Now, you're going to come with a second coat of white. So just, don't beat yourself up quite yet or anything like that. If you need to touch up your smile line, you can use the same brush, just dip it in alcohol solution and touch up the areas that you need to. Otherwise, give that nail a full cure. And once you've given that nail a full cure, you're going to want to come in a second time and retouch. Now, that can be as simple as just taking your brush with a little bit of white and touching the areas that need a little bit more white, or it can be as thorough as giving this another swipe. It's just totally up to you. However you feel about your first go. But as you'll notice, the second time around, you might find yourself creating a little bit more mistakes, which is no big deal because you can wipe them, right, very seamlessly because the bottom white is already cured. So it's not like you're going to ruin what you did the first time because you can come back and wipe it with your alcohol solution. So do not fret. Again, sometimes I feel that we get caught up in the second coat and we're like, oh no, we really got to make it perfect. But quite frankly, if you just come with your brush at this angle, right, not using it as the swiping brush that it's intended for, and you just start, blending the white onto the first white layer, then you're going to find that this process is going to be much faster, much smoother, less stress, right? Much more stress-free. And you'll notice your white stays put, right? It's not moving. You're not losing the crispness of that line. It's staying nice and put, ready for you to cure whenever you are. That's one thing that I really, really like working with Japanese gels is that their colors, right, don't leave a tacky residue. So you don't even have to wipe them with 90% alcohol. They are actually tacky less for the most part. And so you can just move right into your white and your French tip without having to wipe it with alcohol. Very, very important for French because if you were doing your French tip on all 5 fingers, then that white is going to start moving. Not with Japanese gel nail products, which is great. Now, you can use the same brush to clean your smile line, or you can resort to your trusty French tip cleaning brush. I've said this before, for the life of me, until I stop doing nails, I am going to use my French tip cleaning brush. It's just so convenient. I'm so used to it. I've been using it since I was a DIYer back like 10 plus years ago. So it's a habit that I cannot get rid of. All right, so give that a full cure when you're happy. And then you want to top coat it with either a just regular top coat that you need to wipe off, or you can use your potted gel. My point here with top coats is to avoid the non-wipe one because non-wipe top coat is actually the thinnest out of all top coats. And here you may have a little ledge between the white and the beige, right? Or the bottom color. And your non-wipe is not going to get rid of that ledge. Your regular traditional top coat that you have to wipe or your potted gel top coat are going to allow you to just very, very slightly, right, fill in that little ledge, that little gap. So go ahead and do that. Top coat your nail and give it a full cure. Now remember, me personally, I like to full cure for about, I want to say 60 seconds, right? 30 seconds is okay. That's all many of the product lines recommend, but I like to, keep it safe. 60 seconds. All right, so our next form of nail art is going to be lines. And for this technique, I did sort of like a wood type impression pattern, but you can still see that my lines, even though they're not full, colored lines, they're very, very straight. So for the sake of simplicity and, art techniques, maybe you want to do a wood pattern. Here is the technique, and you're also going to learn how to make straight lines. Again, remember that this surface of the colored gel does not have tacky residue. Okay, so it's going to allow you to create crisp, straight lines without them blurring. So let's begin. Take the color of your choice and apply 1 or 2 coats depending on what kind of coverage you want. And then use your long liner brush for these type of lines, okay? For long lines that go across the nail, whether it's from, top to bottom or side to side, use a long liner. Remember, there's no tack on this color, so you don't have to wipe it. And because there is no tacky residue, these lines are not going to disperse. That's one lovely characteristic of this. Now, here's a tip. You will want to use a palette, right? Something firm, a firm surface. I would say a foil, but if the foil is not firm, then this might not be beneficial. And you want to make sure, just like your French brush, that your liner brush is nice and pliable. It's nice and flexible. And the way you do that is by getting rid of older product. This may require you use alcohol solution or just use a gel to break that brush in. Then you'll want to practice your lines on your palette so that when you now are ready to, perform your nail art on your nail tips or your client's nail tips, right? You've gotten rid of that nervousness. Your hand is not shaking and, you're not making squiggly lines. You're making nice, firm, straight lines like so. So again, this line is going to stay put. This line is not going to disperse and it's not going to blur out. One amazing property of Japanese gels, again, is that the colors usually cure with no tacky residue layer. All right, so just take your liner brush once it's saturated in your color, and then just with a very steady hand, confidence, and I will give you a word of encouragement. These type of brushes that Japanese gel nail companies offer, the bristles are very, very firm. So you might be saying, wow, you're like going through these lines like nothing. And that's because you're a professional. You've been doing this for many, many years. Well, sure, I'll take a little bit of credit of that. But I really will not boast. I will say that if you have a good liner brush that's nice and firm, like this one here, right? There's many Japanese gel brands use it. Then you're going to achieve straight lines. It's just a matter of practice and a firm hand, and then the brush will do all of the work for you. Now, one thing I'll have you know is that if you come back to these lines with more product, then you're going to start getting that line to blur or disperse, okay? And that's just because the law of gel nails says that if you put, right, gel on top of uncured gel, then that gel is going to move. You're going to create flowiness, right? You're going to create movement. So that is why when you're doing lines, do not retrace your lines, because gel on top of gel causes movement, causes that gel product to disperse. Okay? Pro tip. When you're happy with your application, go ahead and give it a full cure. And again, I recommend the regular wiping top coat or a potted top coat to fill in those lines. Our next form of nail art is the holographic powder. Now, one of my secret tips for applying holographic pigments or chrome pigments is to work with colors that are very, very neon or hyper colors, if we can call them that. Colors that just stand out. And take a look at this orange. It's a neon orange. It really, really stands out. Most clients would not get this on their nails as a one color application. But These are the type of colors that you want to apply underneath chrome pigments and also holographic pigments, because they're going to showcase through. And another great thing about them is that you're only going to need one coat of it, not two. So you're going to be saving time and money. When you're ready to cure, go ahead and give that color a full cure. All right, so now that the nail has been cured, right, and we're doing this holographic pigment nail art, you'll want to take either non-white top coat, or if you're using a system of holographic or chrome pigments, then use the base coat that came with that product line, as I'm doing now, so that your chrome or holographic pigment adheres to it, right? You're going to have it adhere with a rubbing motion. So make sure you give that the manufacturer's recommended curing time. Do not over cure, as you might lose that ability to adhere the pigment with a sponge. Once that's fully cured, usually about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you don't want to over cure this, okay? Then you're going to take your sponge and pigment. A little goes a long way with these holographic and chrome pigments. So do not, waste product by oversaturating your sponge. You just need a little bit, and you just need to scrub it on there with firm pressure. Also, another reason why you don't want to use too much holographic pigment or chrome pigment is because if you do, then you're going to significantly cover the color underneath. So that color is not actually going to show through as nice and vibrant and colorful. So that is also another reason why you don't want to oversaturate your sponge with pigment, whether it's chrome or holographic pigment. Now look at how pretty this neon orange comes through this pigment. And if you do want an orange like this, like with chrome pigment, silver chrome pigment, you actually get a really, really cool, very, very dainty, pretty rose gold effect. All right, so here's a little pro tip for you. Pun intended. You can use a little bit of non-acid bonder on the tip, and be gentle here. You can actually remove pigment if you're a little too rough. That's why I'm going to go ahead and blotch a little bit more color, but that's so that your chrome pigments do not chip. All right, and there you have it. Simple nail art that can quickly and very, very easy with Japanese gel nail products make you a quick buck and make you a very successful and profitable gel nail technician.